All right, so, okay, the last lecture was about Napoleon. I'm sure you all remember everything about that. It was really interesting. I know people told me. I got good feedback.
It was great.
It was great. Okay, there you go. All right, so now, today we're going to learn about another historical figure. He's very famous. You might not have heard of him. If you haven't, doesn't matter. You're going to hear about him now. All right, his name was Alexander the Great.
Wow.
Wow is exactly right. Okay, that's exactly. You don't even know about him yet. You already know that it's wow. All right, good for you. All right, good. I like active audience participation like that. As long as it's positive, I don't need any hecklers. You're not a heckler, are you? Are you a heckler? No, I'm not a heckler. All right. Well, let's hope it stays that way. All right, let's go on. Okay. So Alexander the Great. Now, I don't want you to think that this was a boy. All right, he was born. His parents said, "Let's name him Alexander," and their name was the Great. No, the last name was not the Great. All right, that's not how he got his name. It's not because it was his name of his mother and father. It's because that's what we called him later. All right, that's not he wasn't born with that name. All right, his father Philip gave birth to him. All right, in a place called Macedonia. Okay, it's a long way away. You get on a plane, it'll take you many hours to get there. All right, you'll be tired by the time you get there. Different time zone too, so you got jet lag. All right, you don't want to go there. Okay, you just want to hear about it. That's why you've come to me, because you don't actually have to go to the place. You can hear about it from me, from a distance, so to speak, from here, from the podium. All right, I'm talking to you from this podium. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't completely understand. All right, you will. Okay, stick with it. Just stick with it, all right? Okay, now, set aside your disbelief based on previous revisionist historians you may have had the mistake of listening to. Now you're going to listen to me, all right? I'm going to tell you who he was. Now, his father was a tough guy, beat up a bunch of people around, cleared the area, and said, all right, okay, I'm the king, I'm the best, I'm the toughest, all right, but I still don't have all the world. I got to get all the world, but I may not live long enough. But I will hand down to my son the task of taking over the whole world. All right, that's what he said, and that was his intention with respect to his child, his only child, I think. Doesn't matter. All right, so he says, I got to give him a good education so he knows how to go and slaughter people really efficiently. All right, you understand? I don't understand the point. That's because I haven't gotten to the point yet, all right? This is the introduction. So the father says, okay, I got to bring you up right. I got to get you a lot of education so you know how to do stuff, all right? I'm going to find the smartest guy around. So he goes around and he finds really smart people, all right? To teach his son, like Aristotle, okay, who learned from the great Socrates. All right, Socrates was the one that told you about the cave. You're in the cave. You don't know what's going on outside the cave.
I know shadows in the cave.
Shadows, that's right. It's about shadows. All right, so he educated a person named Aristotle, who thought he knew everything. And people still think he knows that. There are people called Aristotelians, all right? They go around saying, we know everything about everything because we read Aristotle. Why are you not filming me? Why would you just be playing around? All right, I'm giving a speech. You're not filming me.
I'm filming you.
All right, let's keep the camera on me. All right, you are not the important one here. I'm the important one here. Okay, you can be important later on your own time, not on my time. You want to be important, you do it on your own time. All right, I'm talking. Alexander. All right, they got to give him a good educator. All right, so the best one they could find. He spent all day long with Alexander teaching him all the stuff that he knew about logic and the world and the environment and all that stuff. Okay, so and he soaked it up like a sponge, all right? He was really clever. He understood all that. Finally, his father died, and so he said, I have to fulfill the wishes of my father left to me in his last will and testament. Last will and testament, all right? It says, Dear Alexander, you're my son. I leave to you the world. And when I say I leave you the world, I don't really leave it to you because I don't have it yet. But I started getting it, and you have to take the rest of it. And once you take the rest of the world, it will all be yours because I will it to you in this, my last will and testament. Love and kisses, Philip, P.S. I am dead. All right, because it was a will. He was dead already. He wasn't dead when he actually wrote the P.S., but he knew that the letter wouldn't be read until after his death. So the P.S. was valid, or would have been valid, or was to have become valid. All right, I guess saying it that way would be closest to the reality. Now, back to our reality. We're learning about this now. We're learning about what happened in the past. So our reality is a little different in the sense that it's time displaced. However, Some believe that these previous moments in history are continuing to occur, that they have not ended and they have not begun. I mean, they have begun, but they've begun, but they haven't ended yet. Just like what we're doing, we've begun it, but we haven't ended yet. And stuff in the future that hasn't been begun yet, after it will have been begun, it will continue to go on at the same time as the stuff in the past and now. Can you wrap your mind around something like that? Wrap my mind around it. You mean like rip the stuffing out of my head and wrap it, not literally. Now, this Alexander, he says, oh, my father told me I have to take over the world, I have to take over the world. I'd rather, all right, stay here and study some stuff, read some more books, think about some things, maybe might write my own books, maybe have my own students, Aristotle was kind of my real father, not actual biological father, but father in the sense of the one who taught me what I needed to know to think about stuff, all right? He was cool. My father was tough. He was a tough guy, but he was never home. He was always off, defeating tribes or other peoples or something. He wasn't around for me. Aristotle was around for me, all right? Even though he was stuffing my brain with facts, and if I got something wrong, he would yell at me, but that's all right. He was there, all right? He was there when the other father wasn't. So the question is, whose will do I fulfill? The will of the one who taught me everything I knew? Or the one who told me I should take over the world, and he gave me the world, but he hadn't actually had time to take it over himself, even though he was always away and never around, never even wrote letters or anything like that. He just kind of went away, came back and said, how you doing? I said, fine, and then he went away again. But anyway, he told me the world is mine, I should take it, but I have to go and take it instead of studying. So I say, all right, fine, all right? So what do? I sit down, I think, if I'm going to take over the world, how do I do that? All right, I'm going to have some advantages over the other people who won't want me to take them over. So what can that be? It can be like really good arrows or bows, or I make my guys learn to shoot really well, or we've got like chariots with wheels and we grease them more, and we have people, what are you touching my nose? Why are you holding onto my nose?
You are talking like a mouse.
All right, not funny. No, I asked you if you were a heckler. You said no. I think you're trying to heckle me. What is this heckling? We don't want to know about Alexander the First because you got a nose or you got something like. All right, that's called heckling. I don't need heckling. All right, Mr. Little Wolf, you actually do look like a mouse. All right, that is neither here nor there. Okay, what is important is Alexander the Great, not my nose. Who cares about my nose? In fact, I don't even care about it. It gets in the way. I try to talk. I have to lift it up. I have to look at people say, what are you raising your nose at other people? And I say, I'm not doing that. I can't talk because it's in my way, all right? I don't like the nose myself, all right? So don't make fun of me, all right? It's like rubbing salt in the wound. You need to do that? I think that sometimes people rub salt in the wound if they want to have a scar. If they get a scar, they want to have a scar for the rest of their life. You want to have a scar on your face for the rest of your life? What are you going to do that for? Well, if you want to look really tough. I see. And so, okay, you have a scar. What does that prove? Well, it proves that you fought somebody that gave you a scar. Look, you haven't seen the movie. You haven't seen Magnificent Seven. All right, it's not the guy who has the scar that's tough. It's the guy who gave him the scar. And if having a scar makes you tough, all right, what you can do, you can take a knife, cut your face up, carbonaro your face, all right, take a bag of salt, pour it over your face, you'll be all scratched up. You think that makes you tough? Any idiot can do that, all right? That doesn't mean you're tough. It just means you're clever. It means you're sly, all right? That's not what we want. And why are you interrupting me with questions like that? I'm telling you why I don't like the nose, and you're telling me about giving yourself scars? Come on now, all right? Can I go on? Can I please go on about Alexander the Great? Alexander the Great, he learns how to defeat his enemies. He goes off with a bunch of people, starts fighting, goes all over the world, takes it all over. Everybody says, you're the greatest. Everywhere he goes, they're putting up statues. They're talking about him. They're giving him food. They're saying, come meet my wife. Come meet my daughter. Come meet my sister. Come meet my grandmother. Okay, they want him to meet all the people they have there, all right? And kiss the children and pet their cats. Anyway, doesn't matter, all right? So he got the whole world. And everywhere he goes, everybody wants to talk to him and see him. Finally, he comes back and he wants to show off. But before he gets back home, somebody says, you got to find this other guy. He's really, really smart. And Alexander the Great says, nobody's smarter than me. I took over the whole world. And they said, no, he's really, really smart. And I'm saying, well, what does he have that makes him smart? They say, you got to go talk to him. Go see him, all right? You'll figure it out when you see him. All right, so he goes, and he comes up to this place, and they say, and he says, I'm looking for a wise guy. Is there a wise guy around here? They say, yeah, there's a really wise man. He lives over there in the barrel. And Alexander the Great says, in the barrel? What do you mean he lives in the barrel? I mean, is that what you call this valley? Like surrounded by rocks, kind of looks like a barrel, sort of? They say, no, he lives in that wooden barrel over there. Wooden barrel, is he a Cooper? No, he's not a Cooper, he's a wise man. I say he's a wise guy living in a barrel. What is that? Is that some kind of PR stunt? He wants to get more attention by living in a barrel? All right, so I go up to it, I look, I say, hey, how you doing there? Well, what do you got? And he says, nothing. I says, can you at least come out of the barrel? He says, no. And I say, well, why don't you have any clothes on? He says, I don't need any clothes. And then he says, and then get this. He says to Alexander, he says, excuse me, you're standing in my light. Could you please go away? And Alexander says, well, what do you mean I'm standing in your light? And Diogenes says, well, I got to see. I can't see because you're blocking the sun. You're casting a shadow over my entire humble abode, which to me is like a castle, all right? Because it's my barrel, all right? The barrel belongs to me. Actually, it belongs to God. It doesn't belong to me, but it doesn't belong to you. And Alexander says, do you know who I am? And Diogenes says, no, who are you? And Alexander the Great says, I am Alexander the Great. You know, lifts his head up like he's really proud and smart like that. I am Alexander the Great. Diogenes says, who's that? He says, I took over the world. The whole world is mine. Diogenes says, you're still in my light. Can you please step aside? Alexander the Great doesn't understand what he's hearing. He says, aren't you impressed that I have come to talk to you myself? Diogenes says, you're in my light. You're still in my light. Don't you see the sun has moved? Alexander the Great cannot believe it. He says, don't you understand that I control the whole world? Diogenes says, well, I don't need the whole world. Alexander says, well, what do you need? He says, I don't need anything. I don't need clothes. I don't have clothes. I got this barrel. I don't need a house and a palace and Taj Mahal or whatever because I got this barrel. It's pretty comfortable. All right, I did the interior myself. It's custom done inside, tuning. It's got everything. Got everything I need, which is nothing. I don't need anything. I'm ascetic. I have everything that I need right here. Okay, except I need the sun and you're in my light. Alexander goes away and thinks, maybe he's just pretending. Maybe he's just pretending that he doesn't consider me important, doesn't want to talk to me. He's just playing hard to get. So he thinks that if he says that to me, I'll come back the next day and the next day and the next day trying to get him interested in me. But I'm not going to do that, all right? Because that's not my job. If he doesn't understand that I took over the whole world, everybody will give lectures about me in the future, then he's got another thing coming because nobody's ever going to talk about him in the future. Some guy naked in a barrel. Nobody cares about him. They care about me because I took over the whole world. All right? But of course, okay, we know now that Alexander the Great, even though we call him the Great, he was kind of wrong, okay? Because that man in the barrel, we talked about him too, okay? He's also important. Some people even say he's more important than Alexander. I don't know. You can decide for yourselves. Okay, that's day 2 of our seminar. Thank you for coming. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so if we need to take over the entire world, what do we start with? I mean, do we start with, like, other countries around us that we have to invade and conquer? Or do we start with the wise guys sitting around in barrels?
Nowadays, it's a different situation, all right? Because you don't have to work alone. So you hire a bunch of people, they're PR people, you tell them what message you need to get out, and you go around and you make sure that people in barrels are informed that they are nothing and that you are everything as you're taking over the world. Once I take over the whole world...
What do I do with it?
What do I do with it? Is there going to be a seminar on what to do with the whole world once you've taken it over? What do you mean? The hard part is taking it over the whole world. You think that's like whistling Dixie? You think that's easy? I don't know. You make it sound easy. All right, I'm making it sound easy because I'm a professional, right? But that doesn't mean it actually is easy. You think it was easy for Alexander the Great, Napoleon? First of all, Napoleon, he was defeated, all right? He was sent to an island. He had to live. actually they spirited him away in secret to England, and they forced him to write down all his ideas so that they would become, the country to take over the world themselves. All right, but he took over a lot for a long time. All right, for 100 days or so. All right, but. Okay, Alexander the Great, he took over the known world, okay, but he didn't take over the whole universe. Even after he took over the whole world, there was this one wise guy in a barrel that said he didn't care. Okay, so he didn't win over all the hearts and minds, did he? All right, I'm talking about not only physically occupying all the territory, I'm talking about winning hearts and minds, all right? And winning hearts and minds means PR. We'll get to that in the seminar about PR, all right? I just don't know what to do with the whole world. You're saying I should take over the whole world, but what do I do with it? Well, you can do whatever you want with it. Well, but I do whatever I want right now. Okay, but you can't do whatever you want with the whole world. But I don't need the whole world. What are you, some kind of newfangled Diogenes? Is that what you're trying to be here? Is that what you're pretending to be, Diogenes? I'm not pretending to be anything. I'm pretending to be Gabrielle. I mean, I'm not pretending. I mean, I am Gabrielle. I just don't know what I would want the whole world for.
Yes, what can you do is just go in cars and go somewhere and see places. What do you have to see places for if you have them already? I mean, what do you need to see them for?
Well, look, it's not just things you'll have. It's not just that you'll have all the pillows in the world and all of that. You'll also have all the hearts and minds. So wherever you go, people will bend down and kiss your feet.
But I don't need that.
Kiss
Come on.
my feet.
What for?
Everybody would kiss my feet. I don't need people to kiss. Why would I want people to kiss my feet? It's an expression. What I'm saying is that people, wherever you go, they will want to talk with you and see you.
But I don't need things like that.
Well, yeah, I don't need everybody to want to see me. You mean even when I'm sleeping, they would stand around and watch me while I sleep? No, I'm not saying they would literally come to. I mean, they might. They would want to, but you don't have to let them in. Well, why wouldn't I let them in? Well, because it would be too many people. But shouldn't I be polite and hospitable? You can't be polite and hospitable to 8 billion people. How can you do that? Well, I could try. You just wouldn't physically have time. Because I'm so busy taking over the world. I thought you said after I take over the world. I'm not saying you wouldn't have time because you'd be busy conquering the world once you've conquered the whole world. I'm saying you wouldn't have time to be polite to each and every 8 billion people because it'd take too much time. All right? So why don't I just stay where I am right now and be happy with what I have?
Yes.
All right. If you're happy with what you have, why did you come to this seminar? Did you not read seminar on how to take over the world? You didn't see the poster. Well, I saw the poster, and I wanted to know how to take over the world, but it didn't mean that I wanted to do it. Well, then you're telling me you just want to learn about how to do it, but you're not actually going to try and do it?
What I need to do it for?
What do I need to do it for?
Yeah.
Then why did you come here? Well, what about you? What do you mean, what about me? Well, you're teaching how to take over the whole world, right? So that means you know how to do it, is that right?
And you didn't take over the whole world, and how do you know? Come on now.
Look. Yeah, if it's so important to take over the world, why have you not done that? Because I'm busy teaching you people how to do it. That's my task right now, is to be an educator. To go out and inform you how it's done, not to do it myself.
I can rewind that from you, Wolf, if you just say it and not do it. Come on.
Yeah, if you haven't done it yourself, how do we know that you know how to do it? Because I've studied, I know everything about Napoleon, I know everything about Alexander the Great, I know everything about Napoleon Hill, all right? I know everything about everybody. I know how it's done. And I can teach you and tell you. But then why haven't you done it yourself if you know how to do it? Because I'm busy teaching you. Look, if I'm not appreciated... Oh, look at that. Look at the time. Look at the time. Okay, seminar's over. Okay, day 2 of the seminar is over. Next time will be part 3, practical PR campaigns. All right, so have a good day. Bye.
Bye.